All right, we gotta fix Facebook. This happens sometimes. Hang on one second.
No worries.
It happens more than it should. It like kicks Facebook off somehow.
Dang it. You know more than I do around this stuff. I haven't messed much with podcasts or YouTube, or not really a huge social media guy.
Yeah, I don't like it either, but it's like a necessary evil. But
Yeah,
I think we're good to go. Let me just double check Facebook here.
perfect. I'm thinking about trying out the whole necessary evil. I'm thinking about I'm doing a half marathon with my wife right now. And during our long runs, I get kind of bored because I'm supposed to be doing like a slower pace right now. And I thought about just doing recorded finance tips while I'm running. So I'll call it running.
Perfect. That's a good idea.
Something funny.
Yes. Okay. We are set. So we will go ahead and get started. Sorry about that. Thank you for your patience. All right. Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us today for our network welcome. My name is Jamie Chavez. I'm the president and CEO of the Westminster Chamber of Commerce. And every Wednesday, we bring to you a live broadcast featuring one of our newest chamber members to introduce them and give them a chance to talk to you about their business. If this is your first time joining us, thank you for being here. If you're on Facebook, you can like and follow our page to get notifications for when we go live in the future. And if you are on YouTube, you can subscribe or follow us there and watch all of our previous broadcasts there as well. We also offer broadcasts on Monday, which are dedicated to city updates, featuring interviews with key city staff, our mayor, mayor pro tem, and councilors. So stay tuned for a chance to listen to those and hear what's going on down at City Hall. And then as you watch this broadcast this morning, please feel free to engage with us, drop any comments, ask any questions, or just say hi in the comment section, and we will get to those during the interview. And now a very warm welcome to Takeo. How are you this morning?
I'm good. Thanks, Jamie. How are you?
Good. We are here today to chat all about your business. So I'm just going to kick it over to you and let us know, talk to us a little bit about it, what inspired you to start the firm, and all that good business.
Okay, awesome. Before I go heavy into the firm, I think I'll start a little bit with my background, I guess. What we do is we're financial advisors. We help out with a broad range of financial services, from retirement planning, tax strategy, making sure we have the correct investments in place, and matching that to the goals that our clients have. What kind of brought me on this journey into this direction, I guess, is kind of a long story. I was born and raised in a trailer park. My parents are both in their third marriage, so it was kind of a poverty-stricken household. Didn't really have a ton of financial awareness growing up, but I didn't feel like it had to be the case. And so I started reading a bunch of books, started trying out my own businesses. My first little business, I actually borrowed money from my grandpa to start a little door-to-door candy sale business, and that's kind of my first little exposure when I was 7. I knocked every door in the trailer park after going to Costco and was just upcharging the bars from the price that I got them at. So it's kind of a fun little exposure. And then it turned into a way where I went to the clubhouse, talked to the manager there that was handling the mail, and asked if I paid her a weekly amount if she would manage the candy while I was at school. And it's just kind of a cool way to get a little business exposure that I didn't recognize until much older in my life. I realized, I was like, wow, that was pretty real life examples of how businesses can be ran.
Yeah.
As I started reading a bunch of books, I started learning more about finance, investing, different types of accounts. First time I heard of a Roth IRA, I was like, what? How come no one's told me about this? Like, why did I not start this when I was 16? Tax-free growth potential if I just wait till I'm after 59 and a half. I mean, mind-boggling the amount of money that you can save across 40 years with just $100 a month at a 10% rate of return, right? And so then I felt very passionate about trying to go out and expand awareness of financial topics and try to help people find their own financial security, which to me brings a lot of peace of mind, because then you can live more in the moment and not constantly be stressing about the future. And that was the initial inspiration for getting into the business. I started at a different firm. I started at Aspen Wealth Management actually initially, and I had a mentor down there that I was working with. And then over time, I wanted to branch out. And so I have a business partner down in Arizona and one up in Oregon. The guy up in Oregon's the more experienced of the group. He's had the years to stress and lose his hair. And so he's the one that brings the experience into the game here. And he's the one that founded the name. And then we've kind of all got together and been trying to grow the firm for a little bit now. And
where did the name come from?
What was that?
Where did the name come from?
Yeah, so Freyr Group was Brandon's baby. He's thought about it for a very long time. He liked, there's two facets of it. Freyr's meaning is like wealth and prosperity, which you can see on our website. We kind of break it down. But he liked the psychological effect of Freyr, Freyr, because it makes people second guess and go back and look at it because it is spelled a little funny. And so that's a lot of the reason why the name came about. And Max and I'm here in Colorado, Max is in Arizona. We had a little less push towards any specific name. We just wanted to build out a firm and build awareness around different investment principles. And so we were like, all right, let's do it if that's the name that you like. So that's where it came from.
Awesome. Love it.
Yeah.
So what makes, well, keep going. Were you quite finished? I think maybe you had more.
Yeah, I had a little bit more just on like what we do, I guess, because I gave a brief overview, but we pretty much can do anything in the realm of finance. We help a lot with small business. We have a lot of people that we serve at like private equity companies like Anduril and SpaceX before when IPO. Like we've done a lot there around equity comp, tax strategy with restricted stock units, all that stuff. And we've also done a lot more on an individual household basis when you're running your own small business or you're trying to figure out what to do with your 401k because you're job jumping or house prices have gone skyrocket. So you're trying to see how we can save for this. Are we on track for it? How's our debt management with that? And we've helped out a lot in that whole space with planning for it too. But that's it. You can go for it. What was your question?
Awesome. No, I was just going to ask what makes the Freyr Group different from other financial institutions.
Yeah, so we're all completely independent and we're high-level fiduciaries. So we have 2 CFPs on staff, certified financial planners, and then I'm a chartered financial consultant as well. And what makes us different is we do all that we can to meet people where we're at, right? Where they're at. We have brought down our fees to a rate that we feel like is very competitive. You might be able to find some banks if you have 10 million plus that might try to beat our rate a little bit. But other than that, we're pretty competitive in our space. We're really in this game to help people hit their goals and not really just put money in our pockets. So that's a lot of it. Like when I first was learning about this in that Roth, like I was telling you about, I immediately Googled the advisors near me and called 5 of them up because I was like, hey, I could max this out every year, at least when I'm in college. And then when I'm out, I can do it myself. And all of them I called told me I had to have 250 to 500,000 to start. And I was kind of turned off by that because I was like, what is this? Like, I mean, we have plenty of clients that have that and much more, right? Some of these clients just have large sums of money and legacy wealth. But I didn't want to ever turn away someone if they were willing to stick the course, if they're willing to be diligent, willing to save regularly. I feel like everyone should get a good level of service. And so that's really what I feel like makes us stand out, is we're really willing to help regardless of how we make it out in the end. Because what goes around comes around. If we put good out there, I feel like it comes back pretty well.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you mentioned this briefly, but can you touch on it again? What does fiduciary, what does that mean? And why should someone care?
Yeah, so fiduciary just means we're held to a higher standard. So everything we do has to be in the best interest of our client. So it can't be like, oh, hey, let's tell someone to do this because we're going to make X amount of money off of it. It's no, we look at the full situation. That's why it's hard to give just like a blanket statement of advice for people, because we have to really know the intricate plans of their needs and kind of what's going on to really give proper advice on what's the next best step for them. And it's held to really high standards, like even to court, right? So like if we did something wrong and something wasn't in the best interest of a client, it wouldn't even go to actual court or go to arbitration. It basically means they just win and we have to make the difference up, right? So everything we do is held to a very high standard as in the best interest for our client.
Great. And who is your ideal client?
Oh man, that's the question, isn't it? I feel like that morphs and changes. A lot of people this year have been people that need more help with like tax strategy planning. So people that are getting closer to retirement and they need to do like Roth conversion planning. So you can move some money over, claim it, convert it to Roth so it can grow tax-free in retirement. We've had some people where they're having these complicated equity comp packages with their company, and we're analyzing those, helping them map out withdrawal strategies and even how to unravel that stock over time. That's kind of been our bread and butter this year. Since we've been in business, I would say a lot of it has been small business owners. We've just connected well because we run and own our own business. We understand the ins and outs, and we can serve really well there. I would say that's like the second facet. And then the third really is like life-changing events. We've had a lot of clients that have come in because they're moving states, they're buying a new home, they're having kids, they're trying to make sure everything's planned appropriately. They're moving jobs and they don't know what to do with their old 401ks and what to do with this. Because all of a sudden they're like, oh, wait, I have 3 of these and we haven't moved any of them. And we're like, oh, great. Yeah, we need to, it might be good to consolidate, right? It's up to you, but here's the pros and cons. And we kind of lay that out. And I would say those are the 3 areas that we've served the most in.
Yeah. What are the pros and cons? Because I think a lot of people have like just different accounts all over the place.
Yeah. One pro of consolidating is peace of mind, right? You're not trying to find everything across the board.
Keep track of it.
Yeah, exactly. I had one client that reached out not too long ago. I mean, it was probably like a little over or a little less than a year ago. And they had 6 different 401ks across a ton of different companies. And it took us like 3 months to track everything down and get it all moved. The main pros to moving, I would say, is the fact that you can consolidate and you have more investment options. Usually with a 401k, you might be limited to 20 to 25. The biggest 401k plan I've seen that had like 50 like stocks that you could pick from, but usually there's still big target index funds, target date funds, like you're going to retire 2060 and this is what you're putting it in, which is fine. It's just not really maximizing your potential. And most of these target date funds have a pretty heavy expense behind the scenes. So there's like, the fund itself is charging expense on top of the account's expense on your 401k. So that can stack up, which can be bad. The main pro to leaving it is usually a 401k plan is cheaper than your IRA will be with an individual financial advisor. You might be getting like a 0.75 on your 401k, but if you're in some of these heavy loaded fee funds, they're like 2% sometimes, which can end up being more expensive than if you're with an advisor with an IRA. So I'd say those are usually the pros and cons. When you have an IRA, you can invest in anything. I mean, there's over 49,000 funds just internationally, let alone when you look at the US base. And so you only having 20 to 50 funds available in your 401k is really limiting your exposure as far as opportunities are concerned.
Yeah, definitely. And then as far other than like not starting soon enough, what do you think the biggest financial mistake is that you see people making?
Oh man, you have good questions. These are the biggest one. I mean, it is very common to just start late. I think another thing is, I mean, there's 2. I would say one is being scared to reach out just because you feel like you're not ready or your situation isn't complex enough. Yeah, I feel like if your advisor makes you feel that way, maybe shop around a little bit, get a second opinion, because you should feel very comfortable. I would hope there's a relationship there. I always joke in my meetings, I'm like, hey, my goal here is not to have you sign on the line and then we don't talk again. I want you to sign on the line and then I'm hoping to sit down for Thanksgiving dinner in 20 years, right? Like we should be meeting together with your family, planning out long-term. We should be in each other's picture for a very long time. So I would say that's one thing is people get fearful around that. 2, I mean, this is pretty common, just lifestyle creep. Things get expensive. And so people decide not to save. And I feel like saving is just a muscle. The more you work it and when you flex it, the bigger it gets. If you're able to save $20 today, and then over time, you slowly start making more and you're used to saving that, it's not that hard to save a little bit more. And that stat compounds. And then before you know it, when you get to retirement, you have a lot more money than you thought you were going to be able to achieve. So
yeah, that's awesome. How would you say that financial planning has changed over the last few years?
Ooh, financial planning, I would say it is becoming more like the forefront of people's mind. I felt like when I was first getting into the industry, people didn't put as much weight to financial planning, but now people are charging more regularly for financial planning. And so all of a sudden, clients are realizing, oh, wait, this actually matters and there's something to this. A lot of the times I tell people, I mean, it's great to save, but it's much better to save with a purpose. And something my wife helps me with, because I'm more of, I'll put my head down and I'll just go. Like I really like to just grind it out. I like to keep working. I like to focus on what I'm doing. She very much likes to work for the paycheck that leads to the trip that we go on next, right? And so she's always thinking of the next vacation, the next thing that we can do together, and creating those moments, which I think there's a really good balance to, because tomorrow isn't promised. And so if you have a plan in place and you know you're on track, all of a sudden you know what discretionary you have to do whatever you need to do to try to live now. Because there's also, I've had several cases where people are getting close to retirement, all of a sudden they retire, and then a year later they're diagnosed with cancer. And I'm like I hope they enjoyed the journey, because like I said, tomorrow's just really not promised. And so it's important to find that balance. And I feel like that's becoming more, I would say since COVID, people are really good about figuring out how to have fun now. And they're a little less stressed about the future, which is pros and cons. We still need to make sure we're on track. We still need to have a plan, but I think it's important to still have some fun now and not always be stressing the end goal.
Yeah, for sure. Well, as you know, many of our members are business owners. So what financial planning advice would you give to someone who owns a business?
Yeah, I would say make sure you're aware of all the different investment accounts that are there for you, right? If it's still small scale and it's just you and maybe some family under you, SEP IRAs can be pretty sweet. They're a way to put away some of your income as a tax deduction from the business while saving for your retirement. I mean, those are awesome. 401ks are beautiful, lots of opportunities inside there. If you're making high level income, 500,000 plus, I mean, start getting into defined benefit plans, defined cash plans. All these allow us great opportunity to save even more than we thought was capable with a tax deduction on it as well. So I would say that's one pretty big misstep. And then just tax planning around the business is a big part. And then before you're ready to sell a business or exit, it's good to map out like 5-7 years out how we're going to approach an M&A. How does this exit strategy work? What do we need to do to fine tune the business? Or maybe there's an acquisition we need to bring into the business so that way we hit this next multiple. Even though we spent a little bit, that next multiple usually exceeds that amount. I have some buddies out in Utah that have done this with roofing businesses, and they were heavy on an acquisition pace the past couple of years. But now they went from over 10 million to 50 million in an exit strategy because they have that higher multiple available to them. So I feel like those are some of the main things I've seen on the business owner side that are missed out on.
Awesome. And what would you say entrepreneurs should be thinking about today to prepare for retirement or succession planning?
I would still say save along the way. I know a lot of entrepreneurs where they're like, oh, I'm going to build this business. This is my retirement. So I'm just going to put everything into it. I mean, that's great. And a lot of times businesses can work out. But at the same time, it's nice to know that you're still on track without the exit, because then it's just cushion, right? So I think that's an important balance play. And then also as an entrepreneur, if you're really going after it, I think sometimes you just need to start. I feel like a lot of people now are like analysis paralysis. They're getting into all these books and they're not just doing it. It's better to have the problem of, oh man, we have all these things that need to be served. We don't know how to serve these people to this extent. Let's go figure it out. Than to have no one to serve, but you have the capability to do it, right? And so I heavily push that direction. It's hard to do at times. I mean, I've even been thinking, one of my business partners is in the process of getting his EA so he can tax file. I've been looking into the bookkeeping side so that way we could do full suite for small businesses. And I've been reading a bunch of books on bookkeeping, trying to determine if this is really what I want to do. And some of it is I'm just waiting. Like I'm like, man, maybe I should just start. I should try a few clients, see if it's worth the time, see if it makes sense for everyone that I'm serving, and go from there. So I probably need to take my own advice in that regard, but that is something I see a lot.
Bookkeeping, yeah, that's a whole other thing there.
Yeah,
awesome.
it is.
Yeah. So what do you enjoy the most about serving clients in our community?
I really like, there's a lot that I enjoy. I really like hearing people's goals and creating a plan to help someone achieve their goals. I like getting to know someone to the level where I feel like psychologically I can understand where they're coming from, how they think, so I can act accordingly. I feel like there's a lot more therapy involved in finance than people realized. And so there's a lot that I do in that realm, and I really enjoy it. And I think the thing that makes me feel the best when I'm doing my job is when I sit down. Like I've had a few clients where I sat down with them and they did start a little later than maybe they should have, but we still can figure this out, right? And sat down, spent a whole weekend with them, and we finally finished everything. And I presented this plan when they thought they could never retire. And then we mapped it out to where they could retire at 70. And they just started crying in the meeting. And I was sitting at their house. We were on the couch, And then I started tearing up a little bit, and I was like, oh man, it just feels so good to know that you're helping someone and you're making a difference for their life. And so that feels great. I definitely love that. And then, I mean, I also like sales to some extent. And so I like the new person you meet and the new relationship you build and the chase of the sale and the new business and the growth that's associated and the expanded knowledge. There's a lot I really enjoy, but I would say the things that probably make me feel like the most fulfilled and I'm doing my job is where we really curate this plan and help people realize that like they still can do this. Like you can make it work. You just have to stick to the plan, be diligent.
Awesome. And then shifting gears just a little bit, what can people do to start preparing their children for just financial security in general?
Yeah, something my mom did with me growing up is everything that I earned, I had a 50-40-10 split. And I had 10% that went to tithing for our church. I had 40% that was spending and 50% that was savings. And that's how I always treat my money growing up. Treating some of these basic principles, understanding the value of money, I feel like is very beneficial for younger kids. The other thing is, I mean, 529 plans are great. They're college savings accounts for your kids. That can be awesome. If you don't know if they're going to go to college, opening a brokerage account under your name, saving a little bit now so they have this that they could leverage down the road, but yet you still can control it. I've had some small business owners that really like that because then, you know, their kid's a little bit of a punk. They're not going to just all of a sudden inherit all this money at whatever age, right? 18, 21. You have full control over that, but yet you can still bless their life and help them get ahead. I feel like that really helps because I know every generation's had it hard and that's just how it is. But I would say the housing market can be a little tricky nowadays, especially for this younger generation. I mean, things have gotten very expensive. Interest rates aren't crazy high, but it's just purchase price versus income levels across the board. It's not really keeping up. And so that can be a pretty big challenge. So trying to help set up long-term your children in some of these ways can make a big difference for them down the road.
Yeah, definitely. So if someone wants to learn more or schedule a conversation with you, what is the next step?
Yeah, thank you. Website's probably the easiest way. FreyrGroup.com is our website. We have contact us, schedule a consultation on there. It takes us directly to the Calendly link that we have. There's a 15-minute introductory phone call. There's a 30-minute virtual meeting if preferred. And then obviously I'm up here in Westminster. And so if it's local, I'm happy to take people out for a bite to eat or coffee, whatever it might be. And we can kind of take it from there. But I'd say the quickest way is probably through the website to reach out on one of those Calendly links.
All right, perfect. I got that in the comments so people can make sure they see that if they want to reach out to you. We have a few minutes left. Is there anything that we didn't touch on that you would like people to know?
I would say one thing that I would like people to realize is that anything is possible. I hope no one ever downplays their potential and what they can do in this world. That's one thing that I'm really passionate about. I'm hoping to hit some of these bigger goals before I hit 40, and I would love to go public speak in high schools and change some of our education system around finance and what we learn. Because I don't understand why it takes so long to start learning some of these principles, and why is this not like the amount of times I've used calculus versus the amount of times I've used like stats and finance. I mean, I don't know. Calc is important for certain degrees, but not for all of them.
Yeah.
And so I hope people realize that you really can achieve anything, despite where you came from. Someone has always had it harder somewhere, and that you are capable. I obviously I'm Christian, but even if you're not, if you believe in the universe or some form of higher power, I just doubt that higher power or God or whoever it may be doesn't believe that you can do anything, right? And so I hope you try to reach the measure of your creation, be the best that you can be. And I feel like that's my final send off. I hope people would go for that.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love that. Thank you so much. Well, I've got your website in the comments so people know how to reach you. They can also find you on our chamber directory and reach out to you that way as well. So thank you so much for joining me today.
Of course. Thanks, Jamie. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, great conversation. Thanks for everybody who tuned in, and we'll see you next time.